And Danny Knowles bringing you the show tonight. And boy, if there's ever a time when you need direct financial help and a nice guide that can get you through the stormy seas of the markets as they react to oil and the war, it's times like these. Professionals like Danny and his team. I remember one time I had him on the show and I thought he'd be alarmed about something that was going on. They don't sweat it. They just don't. They've got programs and analysis that let them just guide you through these kind of ups and downs and played the steady averages over these funds that always perform, realizing that if you're invested wisely, the markets come back. They also don't get too jacked up and excited and start reaching out to you about some hot tip. That's not the way to play the markets. You play the averages, you play the trends in the long term, and I would have no idea how to tell you to do that. But my man Danny does. We've been friends since childhood, and I've watched him really improve people's lives by just getting them a plan. When are you going to retire? What all is going to be involved in that? What do you need? What kind of money do you need? Is it a time deadline or a money deadline? Figure all that out with them. Then they can get you on track. If you know where you're headed, you can be shown how to get there. And if you're disciplined yourself and follow their advice, things go well. So sit down and see if it's a fit. Now, it may not be. I'm making an introduction. You may get with Danny and decide, no, this is not right for me. I don't know if we've ever had an audience member do that. What I get is feedback from people saying, man, he really did. He treated me like I had $1 billion and we're starting over in life. We're in a tough situation. We just want to get on track. And then we got others, people that were retired, that have pretty good nest egg built up. And one lady, I remember, she reached out and said, I got a pay raise. And I reached back and said, what do you mean? She goes, I saw the Knowles Group and I've got a better return now. He put her in a better position with money that was already grown. So y'all reach out to him and listen to their show on the weekends, Understanding Money, theknowlesgroup.com, theknowlesgroup.com. Well, it's been a busy day and we've had 2 terror attacks and we're still sort of chasing information about that. The pattern is obnoxious. Let me just say this before I get into the details. Our immigration policy in the United States of America should not be a suicide pact. Every one of the last 4 incidents since the Iran war broke out were citizens that came here from other countries, Muslims that came here from other countries and were allowed to nationalize, or their families. Every single one. Complete pattern. It's been 12 days and now we've had 4 attacks, but by the grace of God, are more people not dead. Today, by now you've heard, we had 2 incidents. The first was at Old Dominion University, ODU as they call it in Virginia. And some are describing him as a former student. He's formerly of the National Guard, had been arrested. This guy from originally, I'm getting all their countries mixed up. I think this one was from Sierra Leone. He's only 36 years old. Decided to take a gun, barge into a building, ask if it was an ROTC class, and gunned down the instructor and turned his gun on those students, and those students attacked him, and they were very, very brave. One had a knife, and they were able to stab him. Some reports say they stabbed him to death. This guy was a naturalized citizen of this country. We let him in, and he did this. He had previously, here, it gets worse. If you haven't heard this yet, it gets worse. Dude was arrested, I believe the year was 2016, for trying to give material support to ISIS. He wanted to be in ISIS. He wanted to go be a terrorist and attack people. So he got busted, went to federal prison. He got 11 years, was let out in 8 by the Biden administration. Let him out early, put him back on the streets to go and kill what is being described. We don't have an identity yet, but the instructor that was killed by this ass clown was a military veteran, a retired veteran who was helping teach some young kids about our military. So you got a patriot standing there teaching a class full of other patriots who want to sign up in service. And this guy who hates us, who we let in the house, committed this act. And thank God they got him. Then there was the incident in West Bloomfield, Michigan. What is presumed to be a Muslim from Dearborn next door. It's a haven for this kind of this phase system, this people group. Another naturalized immigrant, we believe, based on just the car identification, decided to ram his truck into a Jewish house of worship. And but for an absolutely quick reacting security team. There's no telling who could have been killed. There are reports tonight that the truck was laden with explosives. We don't have confirmation on that. But he rammed into the building, got into some kind of exchange of gunfire, we believe. One of the security team members was hit. Another one was able to take him out, and lives were saved instantly. That is still an ongoing event in terms of we haven't had a major news conference about it or any details. The FBI is on the scene, of course, investigating this as an act of terror. All we have from the local reporters in the area is that the truck has plates registered to a Lebanese citizen that may have also naturalized here in our country, moved to be with his fellow Muslims in Dearborn, and decided to go all vehicle jihad today in a house of worship, this Jewish center. There were kids in the building. There's a lot of daycare activities and other youth activities in centers like this all over the country. It's amazing these kids didn't die today. They were protected. Thank God for that security team. It's a lesson for all of us. I'll say it again. If you have a house of worship or any group that meets, even your employees, an activity you do, anywhere you are gathering in public places like this, you need to really take your security seriously. We're in an active environment in this country, and you can't have enough security or training. You cannot overdo it. Layered security is best. You can't count on one layer. You got to do a lot of things. There is training available and around, some of it free, some of it paid, but y'all listen out for my man Brady and their crew that talk about this stuff all the time in a crazy world. But you have a responsibility for your flock, for your gathering, for your worshipers, to protect them against stuff. The idea that houses of worship are sacrosanct, which used to be the case in this country. You'd have chaos in the country, but not at churches and synagogues. But yeah, we've had them. We've had a lot of incidents like that in the country where that sort of mental barrier about the sanctity of those places is just gone. I mean, right off the top of my mind, I can think of the Episcopal Church here in Birmingham over near Cahaba Heights. When that fool went up in there by the invitation of the people that let him in and decided to pull a gun out and start shooting the place up. They had to fight for their lives that night. We covered that live. I remember there was a church in South Carolina, a black church that met. Those people let this kid in, and he went in there and shot them because they were black. There was an incident out in Texas years ago where a former Air Force guy who was off his nut and he fell through the cracks, went and shot up a church out there and got chased down by some good old boys. Y'all remember that story? Even the Don Lemon thing, they just barged up in there in the middle of the Minnesota stuff to make a spectacle of themselves and scared the hell out of those people. I mean, they weren't there to kill them, I don't presume. Lemon tried to play it off like he was just being a journalist. I wonder if Don would have taken a ride with this Lebanese truck driver today and barged. Would he have gone with him to document? Somebody should reach out to Lemon. He's free right now till he spent 10 years in the pokey, which is what he's facing. Yeah, we should ask him. If you had been in the truck just with your camera out giving commentary, would you have been a participant? Somebody should ask him that. I look forward to that. So, yeah, a house of worship today attacked by these people. It's 4 incidents in the last 12 days. All of them have the same pattern. Naturalized citizens from Muslim nations, Muslims who've decided to self-jihad. Here we go. It won't be the last one. Won't be the last one. They're here, man. We've been letting them in, and it's back to my statement at the beginning of the hour. We cannot allow our immigration system to be a suicide pact. It's one thing to be Joe Biden and Mayorkas and those evil people and let in millions unvetted, some of which probably good folks. Some people really do come here to work and take advantage of our freedom and prosperity. Others mean us harm. Door was wide open. Good time to get in here. That's why the FBI is chasing its tail right now with Homeland Security being shut down by these same leftists that let these fools in here, chasing every lead they can to make sure there's not a terror cell operating somewhere in the country. They're also having to do battle with disinformation coming from the mainstream media networks about these threats, false alarms, crying wolf, like they did yesterday over this drone thing out in California. That was never true. That was exaggerated by ABC News. Makes it harder on the good guys to track this stuff down, creates a lot of public unrest. So we got terror cells floating around. And then there's the naturalization process, which is legal immigration. These are the people that we say, okay, we'll let you stay and become a citizen. Total pattern of abuse from these people. Even the money stolen in Minnesota that we just uncovered, the billions, there was still more money stolen in Minnesota than we've spent on this war so far. That's saying something too. Lots. Oh, but yeah, but these talking heads on CNN are worried about the soldiers eating steak and lobster. What a waste. Even a lot of those folks that were ripping us off were naturalized. And we told you about the one in Los Angeles County yesterday. 31% of a hospice funded program, a federally funded hospice program nationwide, 31% of that money went to a bunch of fake hospice programs in Los Angeles County. Total fraud. It's going to wind up being bigger than what they were doing in Minnesota. And the government's broke, and you wonder why. Nobody's watching. They are now, but it's a little late. Money's gone. One of the firms, by the way, backed by a hedge fund that was put together, made $26 million in tax money, and they only had 85 patients. Say what? Well, there's so much news today, I'd never get to it all. If I did an 8-hour show, I couldn't get to it all. Man, Stockton Mortgage bringing you the show tonight. If you're thinking about doing something with your mortgage, a lot of folks are getting off the dime now. Interest rates got down below 6. That's not too far off probably where you are. So it's time to repackage or cash out or consolidate debt or maybe make a move and go ahead and sell your house. Some people aren't selling because they don't want to give up the interest rate that they had when things were down. And so it doesn't make any sense to sell and then turn around and move and buy if you're going to have your payment go up exponentially because of those high rates under under Team Biden. But they're coming back down, and that's a good sign. And we had some other good, outside of the oil price, we had some other good economic indicators in the last few days. So maybe that pressure will continue. But when they get below 6, they're actually in normal zone historically where they've been. That would have been considered in the 90s, especially a reasonable interest rate. Some folks are moving. If you're thinking about that yourself, reach out to Stockton Mortgage. They've got a website set up just for this show. It's called SaveWithStockton.com. And they'll help you save. They'll help you figure it out. They'll help you track it down and game plan and get the best scenario and find the best product that suits what you're trying to do. Reach out to them now. They work all the time. SaveWithStockton.com. SaveWithStockton.com. Back here in a minute. All right, y'all, 522. Let's go. Let's go. Crocker Moving Services next up here on the show. If you got any kind of moves planned this summer or this spring, even if it's just some heavy things, it's not a full-fledged move, they'll handle it at Crocker. They've got a minimum 2 hours. I think it's very fair to pay for 2 hours of their time to get them to come on out, and they'll knock it out for you if it's something big and difficult or heavy or cumbersome or whatever or expensive and you don't want to drop it. Eric just hires the best people. He runs the tightest ship. He's an honorable guy, another former Marine veteran here on the show, and he'll take good care of you. He and his whole team are just tops. We get such great feedback from this audience when Crocker comes in. People send me their pictures of the big Crocker truck, the big blue Crocker truck out in front of their houses. I love that. It's CrockerMovingServices.com, CrockerMovingServices.com. We're getting reports in that we may have lost an aircraft in this situation in Iran. This was a KC-135, one of these Strato Fortress or Strato tankers, they call them. There was a refueling tanker, basically. Maybe has gone down in western Iraq. Now, we don't know if that's from ground fire or it's not from air-to-air fire because there's no air combat going on, or if it's just an accident or if it crash landed. We just don't have any information on it. We understand there was one report, there's a rescue attempt going on right now for the crew of this refueling tanker. And that could mean that they just had to land in the desert somewhere. We'll try to get details if we get it on that as we move along. Right now, let me get some calls in here. We'll start with Alan, who's next on line 2. What's up, Alan?
How you doing, Leland?
Hey, me up.
I take it from your conversation that when I got back in the truck, you're not very trustful of Montgomery, are you?
Not a bit. Nope.
Well,
seen it firsthand.
Well, I have too many times in my last 50 years watching politics. I sent a proposed bill down there on revamping the Alabama Public Service Commission, and I was told it was handed to Garland Gudger, and then it turned into this boondoggle that just passed. From what I understand, I did not know yesterday it was going to be in a Senate committee to come out for a
they rammed it through
hearing.
so quickly. Okay, hold on. Alan, I got to interrupt you. We're going live now in Michigan. We've been waiting on this since the show started, and they're giving us an update on this terror attempt or this terror attack at the Jewish Center. AJ, tell me when you've got audio. I see the guy talking. Looks like they're still kind of setting up, and they're not quite at it yet.
We're ready.
So, all right, here we go. Live to West Bloomfield, Michigan.
We've been through a number of these things, and the one thing that I want to make sure the local community is aware of first and foremost is this community works together hand in glove. This community takes care of each other. And we have been communicating regularly. I have been texting the chief, not just in West Bloomfield, but every place that's got significant houses of worship, Jewish facilities, synagogues, temples, you name it, over the past 2 weeks. Obviously, what happens around the world sometimes affects us, so we have to think about it and be prepared for it. So we've been talking. I texted actually the head of security from the temple 2 days ago and communicated some information to him. So the first thing the community should know is that we not just today work together, we work together all the time. Our state, our federal, and local partners. Number one. Number two, we train. In our world, preparation is important. We hope and pray it never happens, but that's not a strategy. Preparation is. So all of us have been training together for many years for active shooters or active assailants, mass casualty events, and tragically we've had way more than our share. So that is ongoing and is in place. The third thing is important to note, no children and no staff were hurt. So we know there's evil in the world, and we know they only have to get it right once, and sometimes they do. They may not come on anybody's radar and they show up, but what happens when they show up, that's where training and preparation kicks in. The security staff did an amazing job, and you'll get some of the details on that, but they stopped the threat. No kids, no staff were hurt. Now there were some injuries and things that had to be taken care of. One of the head of security was taken to the hospital. He got knocked down by the car when it breached the building, and we've had 30 law enforcement officers taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation. So a lot of our folks from my SWAT team and other agencies are still in treatment because that building became engulfed when the car and we'll learn all of that through the investigation, why it became engulfed in flames, what was the ignition source, and I think the ATF is taking the origin of that source and origin of the fire. But in any event, what it did, it caused terrible, terrible smoke in that part of the building. And so when all of our people collectively went in that building to search out the threat, to remove innocent, a lot of them took in significant amount of smoke inhalation, and they're at the hospital being treated. So I also know you're going to have a lot of questions. A lot of those questions can't be answered at this point because it's super preliminary in the investigation. You know, all of us have thoughts of maybe why this happened, but we don't operate in a world where we can presume something. We have to determine it through investigation and specificity. And that is a work that's in progress as we speak. All of us will work seamlessly together to get the answers, and then it will be called what it is. Obviously, it's a hateful, terrible thing, right? But what drove this person into action, that has to be determined by the investigation. We can presume, but we have to find those facts, and that's going to happen over the next days in time. So we won't be able to get into a lot of the evidentiary questions, but we're available to make sure the community understands that we are still on a very heightened platform. And the most important thing that I would tell the community, don't be afraid to call us. If we're not your own local police department, call your local police department. We'd rather respond to 100 nothings than miss one real deal. The only way we prevent something like this is to get a call. Something's off with my son, my brother, my boyfriend, whatever the case. I saw something posted. That's the only way we interdict, because people are more likely to see or hear something before us. So if you see or hear something, you have to communicate that, and then we can intervene and hopefully prevent. But if we can't prevent, then we respond and mitigate. That's what happened today, and I think based on the early information, it happened flawlessly. So with that, I'll kick it over to my friend Chief Young from West Bloomfield Police Department.
Thank you, Sheriff. My name is Dale Young. I'm the police chief of West Bloomfield. I want to share with you how we got to where we are today. So today we received a 911 call which came in around 12:19 p.m. It was about an active shooter situation at Temple Israel where the individual drove into the building. West Bloomfield officers arrived on scene under 5 minutes. Temple security officers engaged the individual and neutralized the threat. Our officers, combined with area agencies, cleared the building multiple times and safely and successfully evacuated all children and staff. This is an active crime scene, and we are examining every angle related to this situation. I will now turn this over to the FBI for further comment.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Runyon, last name R-U-N-Y-A-N, and I'm a special agent in charge of the FBI Detroit Field Office. This is a deeply disturbing and tragic incident, and our deepest sympathies are with the victims, their family, and the entire Jewish community. The FBI is here working with our state, local, and federal partners to investigate this incident, and I can confirm that we are leading the investigation right now as a targeted act of violence against the Jewish community. As my partners have said, this is an active and ongoing investigation with an active crime scene, and I ask for your patience as we process this evidence and pursue every lead that has come to us and that we have developed thus far. What I can share is this: there was one subject involved in this incident who is now deceased. And as my partners have said, we've had no victim fatalities. I will not be able to provide additional information at this time on the subject or his motive, as our goal is to protect the integrity of this investigation and to ensure that we give you accurate and timely information as soon as we can. The FBI was notified of active shooter at Temple Israel at approximately 12:45. We immediately activated and deployed all of our crisis response resources, which includes our SWAT team, our crisis negotiation team, our evidence response team, our special agent bomb techs, our weapons of mass destruction team, our cellular analysis survey team, and our victim services, as well as more than 100 agents and analysts to ensure that we are actively mitigating and responding to the active threat, but also pursuing diligently and methodically every lead that we have. My ask to the public is a few things. I know everyone wants information now, but I ask that you be patient as we are still processing the scene and still pursuing everything that we can and that has come to us today. Second, we've activated a digital media tip line for any witnesses who has photos or videos of the incident today. They can upload those at www.fbi.gov/West Bloomfield attack, all one word. But the public can also report through our call line at 1-800-CALL-FBI if you have any information about this incident and or any other suspicious activity that you see around in your community, your life, your places of worship, your schools. As the sheriff said, we all need to remain vigilant, and it takes the whole community to ensure that we remain safe. I also understand that congregants may have left some personal effects at the synagogue, and as soon as we have a reunification site to get those effects to the affected victims, we will be sure and release that as soon as possible. I want to thank our partners and the first responders and the security personnel at Temple Israel who did an excellent job at mitigating this threat, and we're very grateful for their bravery and their service. Next, I'd like to bring up or offer up Stephen Ingberg, the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Detroit.
As the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Detroit, I'd love to say I'm shocked or I'm surprised, but I'm not. This is something that we train for. Thank you to all of the law enforcement officers who stand behind us and the many who don't. Thank you to our Jewish community security team. This is a tough time. It is a tough time, but we will get through this. We'll get through this together. We'll get through this stronger. And we'll continue to be loud and proud of being Jewish. This will not change us. This will not deter us, and we will continue. With that, I'd like to turn over to Rabbi Ariana Gordon of Temple Israel.
Thank you so much. As you've heard, there's so much that we don't know. We're going to be processing all of this in the days and weeks to come. But what I do want to say is a huge thank you to our law enforcement, to our Temple Israel security team, and to our early childhood center teachers who were the true rock stars of the day. They ensured that all of our children remained safe and calm throughout the entire day and got every single child safely reunited with their parents this afternoon. And for that, I can't express my gratitude enough. We are really appreciative to all of you for making sure that everyone made it home tonight. Thank you for being here.
Okay, I think that's it. Obviously, we can't get into evidentiary questions, as I said, but I think the message is clear that we all stand united, stand together, whether it's federal, state, county, or local. We're committed to keeping this community safe. If you think you can target the Jewish community in this county or anywhere in this state, you're wrong. We're going to not only stand in front of them to protect them, we're coming for you. So with that, thank you.
All right, so AJ, is that it? Are they done with questioning and everything else?
Yeah, that's it.
Just sort of a random presentation. Man, we're chasing so many stories. Here's an update on the KC-135 that went down in western Iraq. CENTCOM is reporting that it was not due to friendly or hostile fire. Sounds like an accident. Those things do happen when you've got this much movement in the military. Training accident, sadly. Even when they're not at war, the military has an incredibly dangerous job. The other thing I can tell you is, as many of you know, we've got a refueling wing here based out of Birmingham. I think it's called the 117th, if I'm not mistaken. Great guys over there. But this particular tanker was not associated with that group. It was out of a different base or out of a different area in the world somewhere. But it has gone down in western Iraq, 6 crew members on board. The presumption is sort of an accident or something that happened to the frame of the aircraft, but it was not shot down by us or anyone else, which stands to reason there's not much capability of hitting one of these things anywhere in that part of the world at the moment. So, man, we're chasing a lot of stories this afternoon. Again, 6 crew members on board. There is a search and rescue underway, so we don't know the extent of the quote crash. If they crash landed and part of that plane's intact, you know, there's prayers up tonight that perhaps these guys maybe survived whatever this incident is. It's an active war. There's a lot going on, and we'll keep you updated here in the last few minutes in the time we have left. Alabama Dental bringing you the show tonight too. I just got by there in the last couple of weeks, and I do a lot of my checkups right around February. It's just, it's my birth month. It's a good time to do the annual stuff and keep it on my calendar and keep it on top of mind. And so it was good to get a checkup and good to get a cleaning and feel like I was on top of things. You'll feel the same way too, if of course you get to do that, and sign up with our friends over there at Alabama Dental. Comprehensive practice, 4 specialists under one roof. That also gives them the ability to give you flexible hours. I talk about this every single night. Open as late as 7 o'clock, open on Saturdays. That is just great for the rest of us. We're always trying to get these kind of appointments done. And then, of course, it's just that great crew, all the technology they have. And, I used to think of dental because I've not had a lot of dental problems in life. Some of you deal with other chronic issues. They can handle it. Even things like teeth grinding and some snoring issues, they've got treatments and technology to help you with those kind of things too. That's what happens when you build a sort of mega practice like this with all those dentists. Y'all reach out to them and get your appointment and tell them I said, hey, when you get over there. It's alabamadental.com, alabamadental.com. All right. AJ, is Alan still there? Is Richard still there? I want to make sure I get, be good to the callers. Okay. They both dropped off. Good. Okay. All right. Well, I'm trying to keep up with so many things this afternoon. I want to be fair to the folks that have been on hold for so long. We just have to go with the breaking news. It's how we've designed this show. We have a sense of urgency when things are like they have been today. All right, I tell you what, we're a little bit behind on the break, so let's do that. We'll take it slightly early, and then we'll come back and start to wrap things up, and I'll spend that break getting the latest on all of these headlines. And before I go, one more time for Lonnie's Furniture Company. Also, ironically, a good friend of my friend, Dr. Brian over at Alabama Dental that I just talked about, John and Reggie and that whole team. What a beautiful store. What an experience. I mean, you just hop off the interstate. There's no stress and traffic. You go in there and these laid back folks are hanging out, ready to help you if you want, or leave you alone, let you walk in circles. I mean, it takes a minute to get through there. It's a big store with such beautiful stuff, the latest styles, the names great prices, even when they're not running a sale. And sometimes we'll do a Lazy Boy specialty or some mattress stuff every now and then. But any old time of the year you go in there, there's value because of the quality and the selection and then the service when they take care of you and help you if you want design help or not. Sometimes you want advice and sometimes you take it and you don't listen to it. It's just furniture is subjective. So let them work with you in their special way that they do and get your home modernized and made beautiful again with the help of the good folks at Lonnie's Furniture Company. Right off exit 280 on I-65 in Kimberly, Alabama, Lonnie's Furniture Company. All right, here we go. 6:35 Leland Live, talking to M5 Douglas Cooling and Heating, ready to, man, I got the heat on in here now. We got 30s tonight, then it warms back up this weekend. Then we could see there is potential snow in the forecast for next week, maybe mostly in North Alabama. It's a long way out, and that's hard to predict, but we will be in the 20s Tuesday and Wednesday. And then we warm back up. So we're back and forth, air conditioner, then heat, and then it's all AC, brother. Pedal to the metal, air conditioning. It is life-saving in the South when it's humid and hot in the summer. We know that. Douglas is ready to come out and get you cleaned up and tuned up for the season, as it is upon us. It's really smart to have this kind of work done, and so let them do it. They've got a care package that they'll let you sign up for, where they'll just come out twice a year and do that kind of cleanup and tune up. You pay for it in advance and save some money, and it puts you on a regular schedule and rotation so you don't forget. Of course, I'm here to remind you all the time. And of course, it goes without saying, this is the company for new installs, emergency work. If you've had somebody else look at it, or in my case, one time, if you're thinking about buying a home and you want to get that level of inspection before you purchase, let them come look at the AC system and the mechanical. That's a smart way to do it. Home inspectors are good, but they're not experts just on that. So they have bailed me out in the past in that very scenario. Y'all, it's Douglas Cooling and Heating. Call Douglas.com. And did I mention they also have a plumbing division? You'll see that on the website when you go there. Call Douglas.com. Call Douglas.com. All right, let me do some mopping up, then I'll go and grab a call or two. We did have a KC-135 Strato tanker go down in western Iraq this afternoon. Rescue efforts are underway. It was not from fire, neither friendly or enemy fire. With this much hardware moving around, the military has training accidents a lot, and it's sad but inevitable that with all those hours being put on all those planes, things are going to go wrong. So we don't know what went wrong or the status of the crew. There were 6 people aboard. We do know that it was not part of the refueling wing that is based here in Birmingham. We did get that confirmed this afternoon as well. So we're tracking that story. 2 terror attacks today. 2 different sort of low-tech terror attacks. One, of course, in Michigan. We just heard the FBI on that one. Much more to be revealed about the attackers and their backgrounds and the pattern here. But it's the 4th attack in 12 days, and you can almost brace yourself that there will be more. We don't have anything new developing on those attackers or the details. We're just lucky that as the sun goes down today, there's not a death toll except for the attacker that was taken out when he rammed the school in Michigan. And the attacker, well, I'll take that back. The instructor at Old Dominion was killed, and we're lucky that the death toll is not higher than that. And I assume his identity will be released this evening as well. Let's go to Dan on a cell phone and get him in here as we start to head toward close tonight. Dan, what's on your mind, buddy?
Hey, not much, Leland. Have you read the National Security Strategy yet?
No.
I highly recommend it. Just the White House released it back in December 2025.
Yep.
If you read it seriously, take the time to read it. It's gonna put all this into sort of perspective. All that's going on is completely the national security strategy that the White House released in 2025.
Right.
And with the oil and everything like that, like I really do feel like, Americans, we need to pay a little bit more at the pump, because this energy thing for the world is a big deal. But specifically for us, we're very unique because we can produce all our own oil, and China can't. And I really foresee Colombia being attacked next with their narco terrorism. And if Colombia is taken, we're definitely trying to squeeze China. So yeah, I highly recommend you reading it, Leland. Just
Well, I
Google
appreciate
national
that
security
recommendation,
strategy.
Dan. I do a lot of reading, just hadn't been able to squeeze that in yet, but I appreciate the recommendation, buddy.
It's a quick read, seriously.
Mm-hmm. I believe it. Thanks, man. All right, I'm sorry, I've got my eyes on 9 different things right now while we're trying to wrap up. Yeah, look, the oil thing, and we got into a little bit of a discussion in between the breaking news about that earlier today, is, a situation where I need somebody to explain to me. I spend a lot of time just explaining how commodities work and how the current price under the current system is a global price because we're all interconnected. And I know all the oil companies sell and produce internationally. But I think the time has come to discuss potentially a secondary just sub-market for the trading of oil that could be traded just in the Americas. I mean, I don't think you could be so isolationist as to say we pump here and we refine here and that's it, because these guys, in order to make the money they need to make to keep the drilling and exploration going in the water, on the land, all over the world, these companies have to work in reality and have markets that are in reality. But as a national security matter, it's not just about the price, it's supply control and demand control here in the United States, is that we have our own American market for it, because we do produce more than we use right now. And that's only been the case in the last few months under Trump. And so, yeah, this is about oil. It's about economics. It's about the future and independence of this country as the world is in transition away from some of the foolishness that we were chasing the last few years. For example, let's talk about climate change for a minute. You don't hear the left talking about that much anymore. Have y'all noticed that? It just seemed to evaporate. It's losing politics because the world generally isn't buying it. Their predictions have not borne out. Some people's business models are still based in it. But the scare tactics and the constant rhetoric and the silly technology that we had started chasing that began to fail is starting to fall apart. But that's really not what did it. We are in a position now with the advent of AI and the data centers where we're going to be the world is going to be mass consumers of electricity like we've never been. In order to produce it, we can't rely on untested, unreliable, faulty fantasy technology. You got to go to what works. Now, nuclear would be a solution for a lot of that. And that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But as far as electricity generation, that's going back to its roots in order to build this stuff. And a lot of the leftists and control freaks that were all about the globalization of this issue suddenly are been refocused on this tech war. In addition to that, to be able to supply the transportation needs we need, where there's been, of course, reliance back on the drilling and exploration of fossil fuels. And Trump's election had a whole lot to do with that. But the world has changed its mind on these matters. And that being the case, Donald Trump is securing our security by getting a handle on this before it grew out of control. And that was the Venezuelan move. It's the Iran move. It's freeing the world from being held hostage by these regimes so that the world can do business. It's a huge artificial impediment that's been there for decades. Cuba's a part of this equation too. We haven't forgotten about them this week. There's all kind of activity with Cuba today. The 2 terror stories just sort of hijacked the news cycle today and took completely over. I was reading a fascinating piece the other day, and it's so late in the show I can't possibly get into it, but it's kind of eye-opening and alarming that the future, let me just see if I can get the concept out there and y'all can go research it. We'll talk about it at a later date. but the future of movement of all economies is about to be taken over by autonomous vehicles. Follow me here. So everything that moves, right now we talk about the trucking industry, our trains, automobiles, some of the first automobiles with no steering wheel or brakes or acceleration pedals are being produced right now and put into motion. When that sets in and the efficiency and the safety of it, in some studies, some of these autonomous Tesla cars are 6 times safer than human-driven cars. I never thought we'd see it happen so fast. So it means just out of safety alone and efficiency and economics, we'll be moving to everything that's going to be moved by robots. Everything. And that's the economy. So whoever gets there first, whoever has that first, who can control that first, will dominate all of technology. Now, this is why it's so important. You can't let the Chinese create the software to run everything that moves in this country, because they could flip a switch and turn it all off and shut us down. You think the Strait of Hormuz is a big deal? We've got to be reliant on our own ability to develop, process, and control all that in the physical world, not in this artificial world where people are making goofy images of themselves using AI tools, but in the real world where big trucks move and trains move and cars move. We got to be in control of movement, just physical movement. Man, one more time for All American Metals. If you got any kind of plans to build a building this year, you need to do it with steel. I know I did. I love my building. If you got a residential project or a commercial project, these guys are fully integrated. They do the whole thing. They produce their materials, produce their packages, do your design work, help get you through it. Their prices are better. Their turnaround is quicker. Everything's better about it. The speed of delivery is better. Their network of people to help you do the other parts of that building is there. Y'all reach out to this local company that's been there since the 1960s, aa-metal.com, aa-metal.com. Y'all pray for your country tonight, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 2.
Stay tuned for Break a Break coming up next. Goodbye, AJ.